How are you guys doing? Today is Tuesday, December 21st, 2021. I'm James Sims, and for this episode of The Elite, I'm going to review the Elite matchups and performances that took place yesterday on Monday, December 20th, 2021. Taking a step back and looking where we are as we approach the shortest day in the year, as we approach the winter solstice. We are looking first at what's going on with football. We are in the middle of college football bowl season as the NFL creeps into its final month of the year, of the regular season, and NBA and college basketball are underway. And because we are entering the end of the calendar year, we are approaching the midway point for the international soccer schedule. And we are 10 days from now, we will have a complete new list for the 2022 Elite as well. First, taking a look at what went down yesterday with college football. The only bowl game that was played yesterday was the Myrtle Beach Bowl presented by TaxAct. This one would feature the unranked Old Dominion Monarchs and the unranked Tulsa Hurricane. Tulsa would beat Old Dominion 30-17 after they outscored Old Dominion 17-10 in the first half. Tulsa then outscored Old Dominion 13-7 in the second half. In their final matchup of the season, the Old Dominion Monarchs on the losing end were led by their starting quarterback Hayden Wolf. He threw for 176 yards and an interception. The Monarchs' leading rusher was Blake Watson. He had 14 carries for 77 yards and a touchdown. He also had 2 receptions for 14 yards. He had 91 total yards of offense. On the defensive side of the ball, the Monarchs were led in tackles by Jason Henderson and Artarian Johnson. They each finished with 13 tackles. Terry Jones finished with 12 tackles himself. Jordan Young finished with the team's lone sack. On the winning end of this matchup, the unranked Tulsa Golden Hurricane were led by their starting quarterback, Davis Brin. He threw for 285 yards, and he would also run for 18. He would go on to finish with 303 total yards of offense as his 2 touchdowns came through the air. On the ground, Tulsa's leading rusher was Shamari Brooks. He had 26 carries for 107 yards and a rushing touchdown. He also had 10 yards through the air. That's 117 total yards of offense. Tulsa's leading receiver, Josh Johnson, had 8 receptions for 129 yards and a touchdown. And in their second leading receiver was Juan Carlos Santana. He finished with 6 receptions for 75 yards on the day. And on the defensive side of this matchup, Johannes Burnett would lead the team in tackles as he had 6 of them. LJ Wallace would have the team's lone interception as he also had a tackle. With this win, the unranked Tulsa Hurricane of the American Conference will finish their season with a 7-6 record, and the unranked Old Dominion Monarchs of Conference USA will finish their 2021 season with a 6-7 record. Taking a look at the bowl games that are going to take place today as we inch through those. Starting with the 24th ranked team in the nation, the San Diego State Aztecs will face off against unranked UT San Antonio. This will be the Tropical Smoothie Cafe Frisco Bowl, and the famous Idaho Potato Bowl will feature unranked Wyoming and unranked Kent State, and we'll of course get to that once today's matchups are done. Taking a look at what went down in the collegiate basketball sphere, starting with the top ranked team in the nation, the reigning champs, Baylor Bears, hosted the unranked Alcorn State Braves. Baylor would end up beating Alcorn State 94-57. They won this matchup by 37. They outscored Alcorn by 19 in the first half and by 18 in the second. On the winning end of this matchup, the defending champ Baylor Bears were led in scoring by their starting forward, Flo Thamba. He finished with 16 points in 16 minutes as he shot a perfect 8 for 8 from the field. Their starting guard, Kendall Brown out of Minnesota, would go on to finish with 16 points himself. In 27 minutes, he shot 5 for 7 from the field, 1 for 2 from 3, and a perfect 5 for 5 from the foul line. And off the bench, their forward, Jonathan Chamwa, their forward in this matchup, they switched on the name, Chwama Chachua, will go on to finish with 16 points, 9 rebounds as well in 20 minutes. He shot a perfect 6 for 6 from the field. He would go on to shoot a perfect 2 for 2 from 3 and a perfect 2 for 2 from the foul line. With this win, the first-ranked Baylor Bears remain undefeated. They are 11-0 on the season. With the loss The unranked Alcorn State Braves are 1-10 on the season, as they still have yet to play a game at home. Looking at the third-ranked team in the nation, the Purdue Boilermakers hosted the unranked Incarnate Word Cardinals. Purdue beat Incarnate Word 79-59, won this matchup by 20 after they outscored Incarnate Word by 18 in the first half. On the winning end of this matchup, Purdue was led in scoring by their center off the bench, Zach Edey. Zach Edey, their sophomore out of Toronto, will go on to finish with 13 points, 9 rebounds, as well as he would go on to play 16 minutes. He shot 6 for 7 from the field, and with this win, the Purdue Boilermakers are now 11-1, as they are still undefeated at home. With this loss, unranked Incarnate Word is 2-10 on the season. Last but not least, looking at what's going on with the fourth-ranked team in the nation, the Gonzaga Bulldogs hosted the unranked Northern Arizona Lumberjacks. Gonzaga beat Northern Arizona 95-49. They won this matchup by 46 after Gonzaga outscored Northern Arizona by 18 in the first half, and then by 29 in the second half, or 28 in the second half. On the winning end of this matchup, the Gonzaga Bulldogs were led in scoring by their starting center, their freshman Chet Holmgren. He finished with 20 points and 9 rebounds, as well as 3 blocks in 26 minutes. He shot 6 for 9 from the field, 3 for 5 from 3, and 5 for 6 from the foul line. With this win, the fourth-ranked Gonzaga Bulldogs are 10-2, as they are undefeated at home. With this loss, the unranked Northern Arizona Lumberjacks are 4-8 on the season. Taking a look at what went down in the NFL, there were a couple of Monday night football games. Starting off in Cleveland, the Browns hosted the Las Vegas Raiders. The Raiders would beat the Browns 16-14. The Vegas Raiders they shut the Browns out 10-0 in the first half. The Browns outscored the Raiders 14-6 in the second half, as they did take a 1-point lead with 3 minutes left, but the Raiders would drive it down the length of the field and kick a 48-yard field goal courtesy of Daniel Carlson to give them their 7th win of the year. Taking a look at how the Cleveland Browns fared on the losing end, they were led by their starting quarterback Nick Mullins out of Mississippi State, I believe. He would go on to throw for 147 yards and a touchdown. Their elite running back Nick Chubb led the team in rushing. He had 23 carries for 91 yards and a touchdown on the ground. He had 2 yards through the air, so he had 93 total yards of offense. On the defensive side of the ball, MJ Stewart Jr. finished with 11 tackles on the day, as Greedy Williams finished with the team's lone interception. Greedy Williams would go on to finish with 2 tackles as well with his interception. On the winning end of this matchup, the Las Vegas Raiders were led by their starting quarterback out of Fresno State, Derek Carr. Carr threw for 236 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. He also ran for 7 yards. That's 243 total yards of offense. Their elite running back, Josh Jacobs, would go on to finish with 52 yards on the ground and 42 yards through the air. That's 94 total yards of offense. On the defensive side of the ball, their safety, Jonathan Abram, led the team in tackles, as he had 9 of them. With this win, the Las Vegas Raiders are now 7-7, and with this loss, the Cleveland Browns are 7-7 as well. Taking a look at the other Monday matchup, the Chicago Bears hosted the Minnesota Vikings from within their own division. The Vikings would end up beating the Bears 17-9. They outscored Chicago 10-3 in the first half. They outscored Chicago 7-6 in the second. On the losing end of this matchup, the Chicago Bears were led by their elite rookie starting quarterback, Justin Fields. Fields would complete 26 of his 39 passes, as he threw for 285 yards and a touchdown. He also ran for an additional 35 yards. He would finish with 320 total yards of offense. Their leading rusher, David Montgomery, had 18 carries for 60 yards on the ground. He also had 5 receptions for 23 yards through the air. He had 83 total yards of offense for Chicago. On the defensive side of the ball, Roquan Smith would be the team leader in tackles, as he had 10 of them. Their defensive tackle, Hakeem Hicks, finished with 5 tackles, as he had 2 sacks. Their defensive end, Robert Quinn, would finish with 4 4 tackles as he had the team's other 2 sacks, and Deion Bush would finish with 4 tackles as he logged the team's lone interception. On the winning end of this matchup, the Vikings were led by their starting quarterback, Kirk Cousins. He threw for 87 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. He also ran for 10 yards. He had 97 total yards of offense. The Vikings' elite running back, Dalvin Cook, finished with 28 carries for 89 yards on the ground. He had 2 receiving yards through the air. That's 91 total yards of offense. Their elite wide receiver, Justin Jefferson, finished with 4 receptions for 47 yards and a touchdown. He was the team's leading receiver. On the defensive side of the ball, DJ Wonnum and their elite safety, Harrison Smith, both led the team in tackles. They both had 8 of them. Wonnum would finish with 3 sacks for himself, all 3 of the team's sacks. And with this win, the Minnesota Vikings are now 7-7. With this loss, the Chicago Bears are now 4-10 this year. And then, of course, there are a couple of games tonight to close out this Week 15, as this week still isn't over yet. Taking a look at what's going down in the NBA, starting off in Boston, the Celtics hosted their division rival, the Philadelphia 76ers. The Sixers would beat the Celtics 108-103. The Sixers won this matchup by 10 after outscoring the Celtics by 5 in the fourth quarter. On the losing end of this matchup, the Boston Celtics were led in scoring by their starting shooting guard, Jaylen Brown. He finished with 30 points, 5 rebounds, and 2 steals he would do this in 34 minutes. He shot 9 for 22 from the field, and he would go on to shoot 9 for 10 from the foul line. Their elite starting small forward, Jason Tatum, finished with 17 points, 9 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks, and 6 turnovers in 39 minutes. He shot 5 for 14 from the field and 7 for 9 from the foul line. On the winning end of this matchup, the Philadelphia 76ers were led in scoring by their elite starting center out of Kansas, Joel Embiid. He finished with 41 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, 4 blocks, and 5 turnovers in 40 minutes. He shot 14 for 27 from the field, 1 for 5 from 3, and 12 for 14 from the foul line. Their starting shooting guard out of Duke, Seth Curry, finished with 26 points and 7 assists in 40 minutes. He shot 10 for 14 from the field, a perfect 3 for 3 from 3, and a perfect 3 for 3 from the foul line. Their starting power forward, Tobias Harris, finished with 25 points and 7 rebounds in 41 minutes. Harris shot 7 for 13 from the field, a perfect 3 for 3 from 3, and he shot 8 for 10 from the foul line. With this win, the Philadelphia 76ers are now 16-15. With this loss, the Boston Celtics are now 15-16. Jumping out to Chicago and the United Center, the Bulls hosted the Houston Rockets. The Bulls would end up beating the Rockets 133-118. Chicago won this matchup by 15 after they outscored Houston by a combined 19 points in the first half. On the losing end of this matchup, the Rockets were led in scoring by their starting center, Christian Wood. Wood finished with 23 points and 11 rebounds in 29 minutes. He shot 8 for 14 from the field, and he would shoot 6 for 9 from the foul line. On the winning end of this matchup, the Chicago Bulls were led in scoring by their starting small forward out of USC, DeMar DeRozan. DeRozan finished with 26 points and 6 assists in 32 minutes. DeRozan shot 11 for 18 from the field and a perfect 4 for 4 from the foul line. Their starting point guard, Kobe White, finished with 24 points and 5 rebounds in 32 minutes. He shot 7 for 15 from the field, 5 for 9 from 3, and a perfect 5 for 5 from the foul line. With this win, the Chicago Bulls are 19-10. With this loss, the Houston Rockets are now 10-21. Taking a look at what's going down in Memphis, the Grizzlies hosted the Oklahoma City Thunder. The Thunder beat the Grizzlies 102-99. They won this matchup by 3 after they outscored the Grizzlies by 6 in the second half. On the losing end of this matchup, the Grizzlies were led in scoring by their starting shooting guard out of TCU, Desmond Bane. Bane finished with 25 points and 7 rebounds in 36 minutes. He shot 10 for 20 from the field and 5 for 9 from 3. Also in their starting lineup, their elite starting point guard, Ja Morant, finished with 16 points, 6 rebounds, 8 assists, and 2 steals in 28 minutes. He shot 6 for 12 from the field. He made his only 3-pointer on the day, and he would shoot 3 for 5 from the foul line. On the winning end of this matchup, the Oklahoma City Thunder were led in scoring by their starting point guard, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He finished with 23 points, 5 rebounds, and 3 steals in 37 minutes. He shot 8 for 19 from the field and 7 for 8 from the foul line, and with this win, the Oklahoma City Thunder are now 10-19. With this loss, the Memphis Grizzlies are now 19-13 on the season. Taking a look now at what's going on in Salt Lake City, the Utah Jazz hosted the Charlotte Hornets. The Jazz would end up beating the Hornets 112-102. The Jazz won this matchup by 10 after they outscored the Hornets by 19 in the first quarter alone. On the losing end of this matchup, the Hornets were led in scoring by their starting small forward out of Michigan State, Miles Bridges, and their elite starting point guard who formerly played a year in Australia, LaMelo Ball. Bridges finished with 21 points and 11 rebounds, as well as 5 turnovers in 37 minutes. He shot 8 for 20 from the field and a perfect 3 for 3 from the foul line. Ball shot 8 for 20 from the field as he finished with 21 points, 6 rebounds, and 11 assists in 33 minutes. And while out of those 8 from 20 from the field, he shot 3 for 7 from 3, and he shot a perfect 2 for 2 from the foul line. Their starting shooting guard out of Louisville, Terry Rozier, finished with 20 points and 6 rebounds in 34 minutes. He shot 7 for 19 from the field, 4 for 10 from 3, and he went on to shoot a perfect 2 for 2 from the foul line. With this win, the Utah Jazz are now 21-9. The Charlotte Hornets are now 16-17 on the season. Jumping out to San Francisco, the Golden State Warriors hosted the Sacramento Kings from not that far away. The Warriors beat the Kings 113-98. They won this matchup by 15 after outscoring the Kings by 10 in the first and fourth quarters each. On the losing end of this matchup, the Kings were led in scoring by their starting point guard, Tyrese Halliburton. Halliburton finished with 24 points and 11 rebounds, as well as 3 steals and 3 turnovers in 41 minutes. Halliburton shot 8 for 18 from the field, 2 for 4 from 3, and 6 for 7 from the foul line. On the winning end of this matchup, the Warriors were led in scoring by their goated starting point guard, the NBA's all-time leader in three-pointers made, Stephen Curry. He finished with 30 points. He would also go on to finish with 3 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 blocks in 36 minutes. He shot 13 for 27 from the field and 4 for 12 from 3. With this win, the Golden State Warriors are now 25-6. With this loss, the Sacramento Kings are now 13-19. Last but not least, taking a look at what's going on in the Staples Center, the LA Clippers host the San Antonio Spurs. The Spurs would win this matchup 116-92. They beat the Clippers by 24 after they outscored the Clippers by 14 in the first half, and then they outscored the Clippers by 13 in the third quarter. On the losing end of this matchup, the Clippers were led in scoring by their elite starting shooting guard out of Fresno State, Paul George. He finished with 25 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists, and 5 turnovers in 31 minutes. George shot 8 for 17 from the field, 3 for 9 from 3, and 6 for 7 from the foul line. On the winning end, the Spurs were led in scoring by their starting point guard, DeJounte Murray. Murray finished with 24 points, 11 rebounds, 3 assists, and 5 steals in 31 minutes. He shot 10 for 22 from the field and 4 for 6 from 3. With this win, the San Antonio Spurs are now 12-18, and with this loss, the Los Angeles Clippers are now 16-15. Taking a look now at how yesterday's international soccer fared. The only big matchup took place really in La Liga as Levante lost to Valencia 4-3 as Valencia had Guedes and Soler score braces. But that's everything I have for you, and I want to thank you for navigating through the world of sports one day at a time with me. And once all of today's exhibitions and matchups are done, I will come back tomorrow on Wednesday, December 22nd, 2021. And with that said, I want to thank everyone once again for listening to this piece. I do hope all is well. I want to thank the ESPN, the FIFA, the NCAA, the NFL, and the NBA websites for giving me all the various facts and figures and numbers that I need, especially as even ESPN as well. And with that said, I want to thank everyone for listening to this piece. I do hope all is well. And once all of today's exhibitions are done, I'll come back with more tomorrow. Like I said, happy winter solstice. Just from now on, the days are going to get longer. Thanks for listening to my piece. I'll catch you with another piece tomorrow. Peace out.